All right. Welcome back to Slots and Locks. I'm Tim.
And this is Mello.
All right. I want to say we're going to start with something new or different, but I would say a slightly newer concept. I think we've done this a little bit before, but we're trying this out and hopefully it makes sense why we're doing this.
Yeah, I mean we call it story time. We've done it, but it was probably like a month ago. So I've forgotten because I can't remember more than a week.
Yeah. So this is where we want to get a little more real and not just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Less robotic, less nerd slot junkies, less, spreadsheet maniac types.
More actually humans who grew up playing games. That probably explains why we're here today, why we're even talking.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What were the games you played as a kid, Tim?
My family was huge card game players, but I played board games, tons of board games, whether it be the Monopolies of the world or Shoots and Ladders. Big fans of card games like the Hearts and Spades, but Bingo is probably there as well.
Yeah, Bingo's a sneaky one.
Yeah, because I guess Bingo is basically gambling for kids.
Yeah,
And what?
it's the hook. You're just sitting there waiting for something to hit. As the basically the non-digital version of claw machines and those ticket dumping games and kid arcades. Flashy, noisy, dopamine inducing, but bingo's not. Well, I guess bingo is kind of loud if you think of it in a bingo hall kind of setting.
Well, what games did you play? Just out of curiosity, were you playing card games and board games as well?
I
What was your
remember
go-to game?
loving my go-to game was probably Risk, but
Yeah.
I remember Stratego. That was a good one
Oh yeah.
too. I was really into war games apparently. Now that I think of it, chess until I beat my grandfather when he was much older and I was much too young to beat him. Then he kind of got mad at me. But yeah, and then card games, gin rummy. My grandfather was really good at gin rummy.
Yeah, I still play that as well. I used to play my grandfather Risk as well. That was a good game. I feel like I would always try
Yeah,
to cheat a dice. I used to try to drop the dice in a certain way to always win the battles, and my grandfather just kind of let me do it. Yeah.
I liked war too on the cards. In fact, I play war. I play war with my 5-year-old kid, my 5-year-old son. I mean, it's one of
Uh,
those things he gets, and of course solitaire. Which, back in our days, there was lots of downtime, but no technology.
that was our technology playing solitaire. And then the worst part is at one point, when you're almost there, you're almost about to win, and then you lose, and you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna cheat and win or change the rules slightly." Then you think to yourself, like, "Why am I cheating at this? I'm playing against myself." You know? So then but I guess back to bingo. I think you're talking the non-digital claw machines, arcades. They're flashy, nosy, dopamine. But I think the difference is on those ones and bingo as a whole.
Well, it's the anticipation. You feel like you're getting closer every time versus the claw machine where you know that the claw is not gonna tighten that grip most of the time.
Yeah, there's always a gaming element of that too. A random miss, I guess, or a algorithm in that. But exactly, you're not starting over every turn itself.
You're building something. It's basically bingo is like the OG of progression titles.
Yeah, decided to do
But
what,
we turn that into a slot game too, my friend.
which is the perfect transition because that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it. First off, I certainly want to give a shout out to Mark, Craig, and Suki because we're going to talk about a concept called Slingo and those games in a moment. But both it's made by a company called Gaming Realms. They're all industry veterans and great people, and I want to give a shout out to all three of them. And we'll tag them in the post itself. So we're going to talk about something a little bit different, but related to bingo, which is
Lingo. This is not a traditional slot, Tim.
I guess it kind of is,
No,
but it's
no, it is Slingo.
and what is that name? How did it get that name again? Was the a mashup of what?
Slots and bingo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so mind blowing.
Slot bingo. Yeah. Wow. Wow. They really put a lot of depth into that.
Yeah, so there's the Slingo is an element that wraps around other games itself. It creates a bingo style game for a traditional slot game in a kind of a slot game format. So we're going to talk about two games specifically. There's a whole breadth of content with the Slingo brand, and I will say Gaming Realms does other games besides Slingo games, but that's a core one of their core gaming features. So we're going to talk about Slingo Rainbow Riches in a previous video that we'll link as well. We talked about Rainbow Riches, but we're going to show you the Slingo version of it. And then the other one, which was a hugely popular game called Deal or No Deal, but we're going to play Slingo Deal or No Deal.
So I have a question. I'm going to go a little bit off script. Is
Yeah,
Slingo an IP? And
I
so when
believe
you
it
do
is.
like a Slingo Rainbow Riches and a Slingo Deal or No Deal, is that two IPs?
Probably. I would
Huh.
think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think Slingo is a
Well,
trademark and a brand. I think it is. We should ask the Sippy.
yeah, we should. Jumping away from the cost structures of doing that. These seem like two very different vibes. The same underlying mechanic. We talked about the OG Rainbow Riches a few weeks back, the pub chill and all of that. If you want to check that out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say something that might annoy people. Um, I don't think Slingo is really a slot per se, or at least a traditional sense.
Yeah, I actually think that's probably right because if you think about a traditional slot,
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. You spin, you either win or lose, and then everything resets, and there's no memory itself.
right, every spin is an independent random number generator. Every outcome is independent. The game doesn't really care what just happened two spins back.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a sequence of isolated events for the most part. There's some slot games that are not.
And that's why slot games can feel cold sometimes. I'm talking to you, Australian style. Anyway, because nothing carries over.
Yeah, and I think that the flip around of this is that Slingo changes that. It gives you a sense of continuity. You're still in the same game.
Yeah, you're building something, even if it's a small bingo board.
Yeah, and so that I think back to arcade games you mentioned, the claw games or other video arcade games. It has this like you lose and it says try again. So instead of that try again,
Yeah, it feels like keep going, keep going. It's like digging into that dopamine effect. Keep going.
yeah, and it feels like a different experience. So let's set up the framework again because we always want to kind of layer this in. So every game and every topic we kind of talk about this perception, probability, and design.
So perception again is what you think is happening.
And from a gaming perspective, this is from a customer, a player standpoint, and probability is what's actually happening from like the math itself.
Yeah, and the design is how the probability interacts with the perception.
Happen with your microphone.
Design is how the probability interacts with the perception.
Oh, your mic. Can
Still?
you hear me? Something
Yes.
happened. I just pick up a. There you go.
Better?
Yeah, I just picked up.
Better.
Yeah, much better. I just hit a
There we
huge
go.
static. Say the
I'm
last time
telling you,
again.
man.
Do the design one again.
Yeah, this anytime you use one of these, what are they called? These docs, it just doesn't seem to work right. Anyway, design is how the probability interacts with the perception.
And Slingo.
Slingo completely takes advantage of that.
All right, so let's start with the history, the context. So, what is Slingo? Kind of touch on it.
I mean, Slingo is basically the hybrid of slots and bingo, originally created as its own standalone game concept.
And then companies like Gaming Realms, which you mentioned, took it and turned it into a platform.
Yeah, and now you can essentially plug Slingo into any IP. Slingo is not only a game, it's a brand.
It's literally the Scotch tape of slot machines. Rainbow Riches, Deal or No Deal, Starburst. Yeah, these are all some of the.
That's wild. I mean, shout out to 3M. Did you ever have any fun with Scotch tape as a kid?
I did actually. I feel like I assume most people did this, but take tape and kind of make yourself into like a pig and have like a pig face or pig nose. What about you? Any fun Scotch tape experiences?
Oh, hold on, I gotta do my pig nose. Yeah, I think it works anyway. No, I mean, kind of, nothing specific. I think honestly, my personal favorite was paste. I loved paste. I ate it. I lotioned with it. I would have bathed in it if I could find a 35-gallon jar of it. I mean, I can smell it right now, actually.
You're one of those kids that's smelling paste. It reminds me of, I feel like a Simpsons character or something like that, like Ralphie.
Yeah, yeah. I was little Ralphie.
There you go. All right, but back to Slingo. Fun fact, these Slingo games consistently perform well on mobile because they combine short spins with visual projection, which keep players engaged longer than traditional reset-based slots. And again, by keeping players engaged and increasing the amount of session time, typically you're going to make more money, or the operator will make more money. All right, so here's the question. Why does Slingo feel more engaging than a normal slot, even though it's still it's RNG?
Yeah, like we said, it doesn't feel like you're starting over on every spin. It's all about the progression and the perception that while you may not have won anything, you are constructing something that could still win. You have, those 10 quote unquote spins or, you know, pattern fills or whatever you want to call them, that you're building some.
Yep. All right. Yeah. But okay, we're going to start with Rainbow Riches. Can you see my screen?
Wow. Yeah.
All right, let's start with the Rainbow Riches.
And a quick refresher, because this looks kind of confusing if you've never seen it, if you're thinking of a slot machine. But it's more of a Keno bingo kind of thing.
Yeah, so as we always like to go through these, right? You got the reels are spinning. We can go back on the main one, but I think you always like to flip through these, right? The
Love to.
Jokers.
I mean,
Good.
go ahead. Yeah, you're demoing it, man.
All right, so we're gonna have obviously when they pull balls, you're gonna mark it. If you get a Joker in the bottom, we'll show you that you can knock off any one of these, the numbers in that column. These are blocking symbols. Jokers are effectively, or super jokers allow you to mark any number in the grid, and then free spins as well. And then after 10 spins, you can buy extra spins, which will show you that as well. And the price for the next spin is shown on the button itself. So it gets kind of expensive if you keep buying spins, but you can unlock a better bonus by going to each spin. You can press collect to play the current bonus itself. So they're similar bonuses that you would see in the slot game itself. Different types of rounds and pickers and stuff like that. We showed this on a previous video. This one, I know we showed this one itself where there's a multiplier, but I think you get the general idea. I can kind of flip through each one of these things, but you get the idea pretty quickly. All right, so looking at the left-hand side, these are, if you clear one line, so one line could be this way, it could be a diagonal, it could be up or down, left or right. So if you clear, let's say this one going down, you'd be at one line. And to kind of get into each one of these bonuses, you need 5 line cleared. So you need like this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one as an example. And that'd be 5, you get 6, and so on. And so you get 10 balls, and you basically auto mark the bingo balls. So the bonuses are exactly the same. It's still Rainbow Riches, but the slot game doesn't have reels itself. It's basically pulling numbers.
So you
What do
you
you
don't
think?
really you don't get into the bonus until like the fifth line, right?
Exactly. But
Sideline.
you have 10 balls, so it kind of forces you sometimes to have to buy. If, let's say you're right here, you might buy to get another set of balls to try to get into five lines in a row if you don't get it.
Of course, it forces you to buy another set of balls.
All right. Why don't we I guess we could start spinning if you want to, or clicking. But I think we should start with.
Yeah.
So if you've never played Slingo, here's why it feels different. At first glance, it's like a slot, like we said.
Yeah, but instead of symbols just paying, you're essentially filling in these numbers on the grid, just like bingo.
Oh,
Uh,
I feel like I need to reset. Sorry.
so it's so hard on the one screen.
Yeah, this is the travel screen.
I did a timer, creating a nightmare for the editor.
All right, so we'll start the game here. This assists with the anticipation itself. So we got two jokers, which is fantastic. So remember what I said on the jokers, right? What does it allow you to do?
Gives you a whole line.
Well, we get to pick.
That's huge.
We get to pick one of these. So which one do we want to pick here? Any one of these numbers
Yeah.
here.
Oh, we pick a number. I don't know, 15.
15. All right, and then we got to pick a number on here. You got to dab it, as they say in bingo.
Do the highest again. Let's keep this same 74.
So, all right. So now we have 9 balls left. We kind of go through this.
How did it go?
We got these numbers. This was 24. This was 53. And it auto dabs for us here.
So the devil gave us 2 spots.
No, it was on these one. The devil only applies this row. So these numbers right here apply to this row. So this is 43. If we had 43, it would auto dab it.
Oh,
We don't.
okay.
And Joker, we get to pick any one of the things. So free spin is great because we get an extra ball, which is fantastic. Now with a Joker, we get to pick any one of these things. We can go with the highest one, but if we're trying to get 5 lines, we kind of probably want to go this way. But what do you think?
But
Should
yeah,
we go with the highest again?
Now you got to be
Or 34?
strategic. You want to go 34.
The X ball is hopefully going to help us too. All right, got another Joker. And see, we got 11 and 20, and I dab those in 57. So now either one of these two is probably good. What do you want to do?
36. Just right in the
Nope,
center.
sorry.
Because you have the
Yeah.
diagonal.
Yeah, I should have picked on that one. Sorry. Click too fast. All right, so we got 4. There we go. That helped us though. We got one of the one line here. So we need to get 5 lines. So we need 48 and 46. And then the rows as well with 4 balls left here. I got another Joker. All right, so which one? 1 or 2? I'm thinking 2 to get that diagonal. What do you think?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because you can go diagonal or vertical. 36 would be huge.
There you go. Take 36. I take 68.
30.
What do you think?
Oh, there you go. 36, 68.
We're getting there. You see, we're progressing
Nice.
here.
48 gets us in the bonus, right?
What do you think? 45?
Yeah.
All right. It's the free spin ball. Maybe we'll get lucky here. All right. So I got that one. And then this one is a slightly different Joker. I think we can pick this one because we can choose this as a super Joker. So
yeah, you can pick 48. Would give us
it could be
more.
it could be this one, but that one hits this one. So we click that one, you get a double. So great. And now you can see here we have 6 lines. Now we get one free spin from that one. That one's unfortunate. So now we can collect and take this bonus and do this bonus, or we could spend another, in this case, almost 60 pence here and try to fill out the rest of these things and get a better bonus. So what do you want to do? We try
better
pay
bonus.
A little bit more? Yeah, why not?
Better bonus.
72. All right. Keep going. This one's now, in this case, I think it's euros, not pence. Sorry. It's a little over €1. This one, it doesn't really matter, but what do you want to take here? 29 or 27?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so now we got a slightly better bonus, but we could pay now 254. You see how it goes up. This is where you start, paying a lot of money. It might be a little bit.
This is where the RTP is taking a hit.
100%. So why don't we just collect this bonus and go into the bonus?
Yes.
Is what you've seen if you've played these games. So this is a picker bonus. And we have to pick toadstools. So where would you like to pick here?
4 corners. How many picks do we got? 3? Pick 3 of the 4
right
corners.
here. This one. 2x. Oh, we got the 4 corners here.
Wow, that was good.
All right. So considering we originally bet, we bumped it up a little bit. We won €4. We started with 1,000. Now we're at 1,002.
You were bidding at 20. What's a euro coin?
It's a euro cent.
20. You were doing 20 euro cents.
Yeah, but then we did those 2 extra spins, which were added up pretty quick till I think we ended up betting like €2 or €3. All right.
Nice.
So let's kind of talk about why Slingo feels a little different. You want to kind of talk about it a little bit more and like load up the next game? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the typical slot is does the spin result reset and Slingo. There's spin, there's progress, there's decisions you have to make. Do you want to continue? I mean, what's your RTP? There's a little bit of strategy behind it, you know?
100%.
It's,
And it's
yeah,
like if
I
you
think,
stop there, you think it's just another slot, right?
I mean,
But
I
it's
think
not.
you've convinced me that it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of just winning or losing, you're you're basically filling the board, right?
You're progressing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a data call out here. I think the games with visible progression per spin typically increase session length, obviously, spin transactions, etc., compared to a trad slot.
Yeah, and so going back to I think what we were saying, like a traditional slot has, spin, result, and reset, right?
Yep.
Versus a Slingo has spin, progress, continue. And this is a fundamental reset of one perception and gambling itself. So we'll keep kind of playing through this as well, but we're kind of jumping a little bit ahead. But this game, I think Slingo works really well on mobile because people play on their phones. So we're showing Rainbow Ridge itself, and I think it's really captured that short sessions, right?
Yeah, I mean, short session, distraction, there's a little bit of patience, calls can get dropped, but the progression lives on.
Yeah, and traditional slots have dead spins where nothing happens itself.
And ultimately that kills engagement.
Exactly. Yeah, and single always gives you something.
Yeah. Number, progress, an ear hit, a lot of interesting, creatures coming up with different, rewards. That was
Yeah,
probably
so
my
you
favorite part is like, yeah, is
the
what
reward.
the new clown was going to give me.
Yep. So your brain effectively doesn't disengage, right?
Yeah. And basically that's why people tend to play longer or they return more frequently to get through the cycle. In effect, it has a locked in 10 spin minimum to get to that full feature of the board.
Yeah. So we talk about Rainbow Riches. You can see the engagement in that as well. Pretty simple, but it keeps you engaged. This is the second game, which is deal or no deal. You can see my screen still, I assume. Is that right?
I can. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So this is Slingo deal or no deal.
It has a completely different feel than the Rainbow Riches.
Yeah. So the other one felt more like progression.
Yeah. This is more about presentation, really.
Yeah, and you got the banker who hopefully everyone's seen on TV or played this game, Deal or No Deal itself.
Oh, cool. We're going to get some offers, get the phone call from that shady in the office.
Yeah, which is effectively the illusion of I guess, decision making.
Yeah. And anytime people talk about doing radio, it always gives me kind of like a fun fact that Howie Mandel, when he had like hair, he had like this massive curly hair mullet thing. He was like a huge stand-up comedian in the 80s. He would actually fill like major theaters. And it's just bewildering to think of it now.
All right. Well, speaking of pivots, this is all the rules itself. It's very similar to what we just saw with the symbols. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
self-explanatory, but I feel like we should just kind of go
But
into,
this,
right? We're gonna get $20 or
yeah, I mean,
20 cents here.
the symbols don't change. All the bonus symbols. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
so we
like
got
brand
case.
integrity.
Exactly. So let's pick our case.
Yeah, you want
This
me
is
to
where
pick?
yeah, I guess this is where it gets a little dangerous now. Now you're thinking
Well,
you're making a decision.
well, yeah, just go with your lucky number. What was that? It was 13, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Here's the offer.
Oops.
Oh man, technological snafu.
Hopefully this works. The damn editor has got to come in here. All right. Well, while we're waiting, we should do the short, the deal or no deal short. That's where we're at right now. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
All
Are we
right.
doing this is where it gets dangerous?
Exactly. All right. So this is where it gets dangerous. Now you think you're making a decision itself.
You're picking cases and taking offers. What's wrong with this stupid being? Isn't it comforting knowing you don't have to like manipulate this to get on your screen anymore? I'm not a fan of where they have the big demo thing on top of them.
All right. Let's reset again. Ready?
Yep.
All right. This is where it gets dangerous. Now you think you're making a decision.
You're picking cases, you're taking offers.
Yeah, but none of that actually changes the outcome. So we're gonna pick 13 here.
Yeah, it's already determined. Silly RNG, just like a typical slot machine.
Okay. Yeah. Perception probability. Okay. Let's go back to the
Yeah.
framework for a second.
Yeah, I think we nailed the big three on the show. We nailed perception, we nailed probability, and we nailed design.
Okay. All right. So let's break it down. Perception. I'm building towards something.
Yeah, I'm making progress. I mean, look at my board. It's filling up.
Yeah. The probability still completely random.
Every spin is random. Every box is predetermined. And you're just picking the number and it's already predetermined.
Yeah. Although it doesn't necessarily feel like that. So this is the part of Slingo that's really interesting because it feels like you're getting closer to something itself.
Yeah, and you can visually see it. I mean, it's the board's filling up. You're one number away. You're two numbers away. Four corners. You get another one of those cool clowns that does something. I mean, it's dopamine
Yeah.
inducing. That's the point.
Exactly. And that's powerful because now every spin is connected itself.
It feels like a journey, not just a series of spins.
But here's the catch. Big catch here. None of that progress actually changes the probability itself.
Right, right. The next spin doesn't really care how close you are.
It's completely random.
The design is tricking your brain, and it doesn't think that way. It thinks I'm almost there.
So instead of evaluating real outcomes,
You start evaluating distance, and then they offer you more spins for a price when your cycle is done. And then the more you bet for each one of those, the more expensive it is. That is the sucker bet. Do yourself a favor at that point in time, either walk away or restart the cycle.
yeah, you stop asking, did I win?
And you start asking, how close am I?
And that's the whole trick. That's design triggering your basic gut feeling that everything's close. And then lastly, I would say design, which never let you feel like you've lost.
So yes, and players it is shown are more tolerant of losses when they see progress, even if that progress has no actual monetary value. This is true in gambling, negotiating for a car, a house, etc., etc. Virtually anything that has a zero-sum game attached to it.
Zero sum game. I thought it was game, not game. But
Zero-sum game.
yeah,
Because if
so
you add five, you lose five, so it's a zero sum.
yeah, which makes sense. It's one of those things that I thought I saw it was a game. All right, so let me ask you this. Is this even a slot anymore?
I mean, I would say it's something slot-ish.
What would you define that as? What's it?
Ah, hell, it's a slot machine with better marketing and a 10 spin minimum. It's like a blackout drunk version of a strip club entry fee.
So let's actually define what is Slingo.
It's a slottish bingo, but it's not really bingo either.
So it's Scottish,
No, slottish. I wonder if the editors are going to pick that up. But anyway, no, slottish. It has a progression system
wrapped in slot mechanics with better marketing.
with just enough randomness paid with the baked in engagement of a 10 spin minimum.
It is gambling with baked in commitment. That's actually a big statement.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah, so let's talk about the industry take. This feels like it's been popular and it's been popular for a while, this concept, and you've seen gaming realms and Slingo has gotten more widely adopted across the industry as a whole. It's probably where the industry is going.
More hybrid experiences, more baked in engagement, which I think is key. more player buy-in, giving the players the feeling like they're actually making choices that are going to settle their outcomes.
You're right, and probably more progression, or at least the feel of progression itself.
Yeah, and less resilience on that pure, single spin dopamine dependence.
Yeah, and that's where.
I said dopamine way too many times. Anyway,
Yeah, you like the word. It's all right. I think the hybrid is the main thing that you're talking about there. I think that's an important aspect that not even this game, it's a hybrid of a slot game, but you're seeing other forms like daily fantasy sports and stuff like that, and all these other prize picks and things like that. They're all variants of a similar concept, prediction markets and stuff like that. It's the hybrid experiences that I think are definitely a trend. All right, so here's the real takeaway.
and this is the important one.
Slingo itself didn't change the math,
Didn't make it more winnable.
and it didn't change the probability.
It changed the perception through its design, and one could argue some heavy lifting from a game show that is 110% mathematically different. No, wait, 100%. Why do people say 110%? It's so dumb. And yes, I guess I was being dumb. So, thing.
Anyhow, more importantly,
It changes how long you're willing to stay. Again, with the forced engagement, or dare I say, it pastes you.
it's kind of funny. We started talking about bingo.
Yeah, we ended up right back here,
Same idea.
just with way better graphics and not so much favorable outcomes.
All right, so I guess the question for the wonderful audience that we have,
Yeah. So, do you prefer the traditional, the trad version of a slot machine? Do you prefer starting fresh every spin, like Irish Spring?
or building towards something in a gambling vis-a-vis progression.
Anyway, let us know.
And now, as always, gamble responsibly. Don't spend more than you could afford. And give us a like, drop us a comment, and let us know your thoughts on this mechanic.
Did you know Apple's going to do video podcasts now?
I did not. And who's going to be doing the
Easy.
video podcast?
Just another extra work for a lovely producer.
Yes.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
goodbye, everyone.
All right. Have a good one.